Toledo, a hub of entertainment, art, and also the crossroads of America. I'm Tim McMahon, and I'm hitting the road to discover the cities, neighborhoods, and gems beyond the Glass City. Join me for an adventure as I meet the people and tour the places at the beating heart of the Midwest. This is One Tank Travel. Downtown Adrian, Michigan has a little bit of everything, from a historic cigar shop to a rustic coffee house and a diverse array of drinks and eats. It's also home to the legendary Croswell Opera House, 155 years old, and you feel every bit of it sitting in the balcony overlooking the stage, which many figures throughout history graced with their presence.
When you're here, you know that you are in the same space that Frederick Douglass once spoke in, that Susan B. Anthony spoke in, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, where John Philip Sousa and his band played. So much history has happened here, and so many incredible, important people have stood within these walls that it is really something.
Tell me a little bit of a backstory, maybe since we're up here, the Cliff Notes version on the history of the Croswell. Tell me about it.
So if you were a leader in a small western town in the middle of the 19th century and you wanted to show that, that your town was on the map, the way you did that was you built a theater. But the funny thing is you didn't call it a theater, because in the Victorian era, theater was thought of as something maybe just a little bit disreputable, something that a respectable person would not be seen going to. So you called it something else. You called it maybe the Academy of Music, or you called it the Opera House, and that's how Adrian ended up with an opera house.
Named in honor of Adrian resident and former Michigan Governor Charles Croswell, the Opera House took on different forms throughout its history.
In the beginning, it was really kind of an all-purpose community hall where everything from church festivals to high school graduations, political rallies, lectures, even livestock shows would happen here. And then about 1920, it was converted into a movie theater. And live performance didn't happen very much here for about 50 years. But in the 1960s, the movie theater company decided to pull out. There was a very real chance that this building could be demolished. And that's the point when the community really rallied together and said, we are not going to let this beautiful old theater be destroyed. A local businessman by the name of Charlie Hickman bought the theater and turned it over to a new nonprofit. The first summer of live theater happened here in 1968, and it's been going ever since.
Taking me on stage and behind the scenes is the creative director at the Croswell, Jerry Ryder. So this is it.
This is it, the historic Croswell Opera House.
We're on stage at the Croswell Opera House, a lot of performances over the years. It's an amazing view out here. We were talking before the cameras started rolling. This isn't something that everybody always gets to see.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to stand up here and, show this audience view. Are there ever nerves being out on the stage? First of all, have you ever performed on this stage?
Oh yeah, I grew up in this theater. At least it feels that way. When I was in high school, I started doing shows here and got really heavily involved all through high school and college. Then went off and did other things with my career, but what a privilege to come back and be here now. It's just important that we do what we can to keep the Croswell going, and the number of people that love and care about this building, and then give their time, their talent, just to make sure that the theater keeps going and that our productions are just spectacular, which is something we work hard at.
Being out and about with cameras, that never makes me, nervous, and I'm kind of used to it. But being on a stage, I've never performed on a stage. Even just here, there's a different level of energy of being out here. Why is that? Where does that come from for, performers to be out here? And why do you think that energy comes up for people in front of a crowd?
The thing that happens when you stand up here, and I get to do a curtain speech most performance nights, and when that crowd is excited and ready to see a show, they are giving you so much energy. It is just the coolest exchange, where then the performers who have worked so hard, several weeks, giving up all kinds of other things in their life in order order to be involved, then they give all of that back. It's why live theater is unlike anything else.
And something about these stage lights too, which I appreciate you putting these on because I feel like we're in a presence. There is a light, I've been noticing it over, the top of your head. Tell me about this light here because this is unique. Well, not to you guys, but this is something that's on, pretty much every stage. Why do you have this here?
So this is what's called the ghost light, and we don't know exactly where the idea of it comes from, but when the theater is dark, at the end of a production, the last job of a stage manager is to bring the ghost light out. Turn the light on, everything else gets turned off, so it's just about making sure people can see if they happen to wander into the space. But it's also, we think that perhaps it offers a friendly light for ghosts that might occupy the building, and also helps them remember where they were when they were on stage here. There's lots of stories about ghosts at the Croswell, and probably some of those are performers still hanging around looking for the spotlight.
It looks like it's always ready to go. How often are you, changing through and building new sets? How often do you reuse things?
So we build our own sets here. We are not a theater where we are bringing in like national tours. Buses don't line up with semi-trucks to unload scenery. We build it all, and it mostly gets built right here in this space.
What room are we in now?
Well, we're actually underneath the auditorium seating. If people could see the sloped floor, they would understand that that's the slope of the stairs, or of the seats. But this is where we store some of our costumes, just a small portion of the many, many, many costumes that the Croswell has. It's really a mark of a Croswell show. Costumes are always appropriate for the time period of the show. They're always finished with every detail. We hire great people to put gloves on every female that's supposed to have them, hats, the right shoes. Every little piece of a costume is attended to by our costume folks, and that's just one part of what makes coming to the Croswell so special.
Do you know, based on looking at some of these, what shows they were featured?
Well, sure, like these shirts, we did the musical Rock of Ages not that long ago, and several of the characters appeared often in, that rock and roll look, leather and Hawaiian shirts with a vest over it. Yeah, for sure, that's the kind of thing that happens with that kind of a show. But then we recently did Matilda, where we made school uniforms for each of the actors that were in that show. You can imagine, you could go buy a school uniform, but they wanted them to be special and unique and just for our show.
For sure. I'm actually shopping.
I feel like you're ready to go on stage.
I feel the Rock of Ages, yeah. Now if I go up there and get that energy again and be out on the stage, this is really cool.